The storm started to roar. Bright lightning flashed every second. It was the most powerful storm of the summer. The green was really green. I mean, it looked like something you would see on the news in Kansas. Out of the window of the cabin, I saw some clouds rotating. No way, this thing was not about to form a tornado. That would be the icing on the cake. If that happened, I would have to accept God as my savior and pray. The clouds quickly fizzled. I guess God didn't want me today. The lightning kept going though, and the thunder sounded like a 4th of July fireworks display. It was all different sounds to the thunder. Cracks and whips, whooshes, and the elephant stampede sounds. All of them in this one storm. The rain started coming down really heavy now. It was blowing through the window of the cabin, right through it. It was getting soaked no matter what. I'm not sure if I ever fell asleep. I remember, all of a sudden, the lightning had no noise to it. None at all. It just kept flashing, as if in some infinite distance. The light of day started to return. My eyes were still open, but I did feel like I was asleep. I began to hear a voice. A small girl's voice, echoing in the distance. She just kept calling for her mom, but with no loudness or distress. Just a soft, quiet, whispering cry. Mama. As if she was asking a question. I heard it over and over again. The lightning finally stopped though, and I could hear normally again. I heard the rain dripping off the trees, in the roof, and what have you. The sunlight was trying to come back. It was brighter outside for sure again. I no longer heard the girl. Her voice was gone. I wanted to leave the cabin immediately. I had the feeling as if someone was watching me. You know that feeling, the one embedded in all of us. I knew it. I knew I was being watched. Or did I? I mean, I didn't know if I was asleep or not. My head was clearly lying to me, which was the last thing I needed it to be doing right now. Now, you're gonna think I'm an idiot. And let's be honest, for the most part, I am. But I started shouting, "Is anyone there?" I'm aware of how stupid it is now, but at that point, my brain was so mushy, and I was so scared. It seemed like the best thing to do. It wasn't though. Thankfully, no one was there. I did notice though, the forest seemed much more alive and happy, if that makes any sense at all. The sun shone yellow through the trees, like what you'd expect it to do in the morning, but it was in the middle of the day. I heard birds chirping. Not sure if I even heard any before this. It was nice at this point, and I really wished I was just hiking and could enjoy this. I've never really been hiking, but my memory drifted back to where I was and what was happening, as it needed to do time and time again. I heard a voice again, another one soft, humming a tune. I looked around and there was no one there, but I kept hearing this voice, a very faint one. I walked around for a bit and tried going towards the voice, but my mind was so foggy and useless, I wasn't sure where I was going. Finally, I bent over and puked. I was waiting for it. I felt a bit better, but my head still hurt. I could barely see straight, let alone think straight. I began to hear the humming again. This time, it was louder. I looked up, and my eyes were all blurry. I was so dry, I couldn't even see. But I looked out and there was a girl. A little girl in a yellow dress. Finally, my eyes cleared up and I could see her. She was holding her leg, and she was just staring at me. She was young, blonde hair. She looked like my sister did when she was younger. Just like my sister. My sister passed away at about the same age. Cancer and misfortune, I suppose. Was this girl really there, or was I seeing Julie again? I could barely talk, as my mouth was so dry and now filled with throw-up. We just stared at each other. The sunlight shone through the trees right on her, as golden as her hair and her dress. I had to say something. Was it Julie? Was it? I had tried to shout with what was left of my voice, and she just ran off like a fox. No sound. Nothing. Just gone and out of sight. I don't even know if she was real. The forest noises kept going. The girl was gone, whoever she really was. My hearing started getting fuzzy, and my eyes came in and out of focus multiple times. I just laid there on the forest floor, praying I would not be seen and unable to move. I just kept thinking about the light that shone on that girl. It all looked so pretty, so unreal. As my eyes came back a few minutes later, I looked around and the forest was back to its dead gray self. It must have been a concoction of my own brain. My head is losing it. I could feel the fever, and the heat was so intense. Not only was it hot in my body, but it was hot outside as well. And that did nothing to help. I really truly felt like I was gonna die there. I just waited for the fever to finally break, but at the same time, I was starving and thirsty. So my brain thought, even if I did make it past the fever breaking, I'd still be unable to think properly, and wouldn't have much time left. I have no clue what time it was, but the sun was starting to set. The clouds, even in the beautiful colors of sunset, were not so beautiful. They were an angry, evil orange. They only helped to make the forest look more dead. Finally, I noticed I could hear and see again. I must have fallen asleep, and the fever has calmed off. I was drenched in sweat and felt so dry. It was incredible, honestly. I did feel better though, and I could stand. It felt so nice to be able to do that. Immediately, I walked over to where the girl was sitting a few hours ago. The sneaker marks were there. She was there. She is real. I figured I'd go in the direction she went. Maybe I'll find her. Not even a few steps in that direction, I heard someone calling out. I could hear the words exactly. They were so muffled, but I could hear someone calling out. Like the creek, I turned around in a circle to try and find which direction to go toward the noise. I kept following it, and following it. It actually wasn't that long before I noticed the voice was getting louder. I wasn't going to say anything back. I didn't want to make more noise than I already had, but I just kept following it, and suddenly, I could understand the words. Julia, don't leave me. It sounded like another girl. The voice wasn't muffled. It was loud now, and I could definitely hear it. Julia, Julia, is that you? Please, be you. I looked down, and there was a great, sewer cap. I don't know, I'm not an expert on sewage. It couldn't be. Please don't be that. This voice is coming from below. I whispered, anyone there? The darkness below echoed it. I was sure if anyone was down there, they would hear it. The girl then responded with the same echo. My whisper did. Mister, can you help us? There actually is someone down there. Someone else chimes in, screaming for help. The girl tells her to stay quiet, or to whisper. I hear more people asking for help. Only one lady continues to scream. I throw the grating off. It was broken, thankfully. I turned my phone's flashlight on. It was still hard to see anything. Then, I dipped down into the cellar. There was no ladder, and I fell a few feet down to the bottom of this underground tunnel. I looked up and saw the small rope dangling. I really wish I had seen that earlier. The girl called out again. The tunnel wasn't lit. It was pitch black. My phone had fallen out of my pocket in the fall, and I looked around to try and find it. Of course, it fell on the side that didn't have the flashlight on, and I couldn't see where it had fallen. The girl cries out again. Help us, mister. And the older lady yells to call the police. I scramble trying to find my phone, but I can't find it anywhere. Just then, I hear footsteps from far away. It sounds like boots running. The girl says, He's coming, mister. Run. Leave. I try going back up the rope. It rips though, and I fall on my butt a second time. I look down the hall and I can see the flashlight coming. It's hitting the corner of the tunnel. There must be a turn in the tunnel right there. I try scrambling up the side of the tunnel, but no luck. And I fall a third time. The footsteps are getting louder, and the light is getting brighter. I feel my way around the tunnel wall. The little bit of light coming from the hole just wasn't enough to see. I hide until I couldn't see the flashlight anymore. Finally, the boots stop. How are you doing today, darling? The man asks, in the most warped tone I've ever heard. He didn't have a deep voice. He had a snively voice, a nasally one. I hid in the tunnel, cringing as he talked to the girl. I'm okay, the girl softly responded. And the man spat back. I'm okay, Daddy. You're supposed to say Daddy. Yes, Daddy, the girl responded while crying. The man walks over and into the light. I can see him finally. He looks at the broken rope. Was someone in here, darling? He asks. The girl responds, No, Daddy, no one. He asks the older woman, and then tells her to stop her screaming. I hate hearing your stupid screaming through the tunnels. Shut it. He points the flashlight down and picks up my phone. Suddenly, he points the light in my direction. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I appreciate it a lot. And also, big thanks to my patrons, and if you want to support me, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. And if you want to hear more scary stories in the future, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Thank you.